Are you getting what you want and what you need? Hi, I'm Brenda Mailer with Sea Bright Spirit. Today I want to chat with you about the importance of looking at your choices in getting what you want and getting what you need. When we take action just based on what we want, we're often looking at what are the things that bring me pleasure, what keeps me comfortable, how do I, nurture myself in a very just easy way. Okay. When we look at getting what we need, we might need to look a little bit more at what makes me uncomfortable, what challenges me, what takes me further in my life, what helps me grow. So when you look at wanting and needing, if we just always follow the road of want, we're probably going to follow our temptations. We're going to just follow our desires. We're going to just look at, well, what makes me feel good, right? But when we do that, sometimes we kind of keep ourselves in a certain spot. We don't necessarily challenge ourselves to try something different or grow or learn from something. You might even say that choosing what you want always keeps you stuck within the karmic wheel. The karmic wheel being having a desire, taking action on it, and having an outcome. Okay? We get stuck in the karmic wheel when the outcome, we're not willing to grow past it into, say, a new desire. Okay. So if we just stay in our comfort zone of just, well, I want this, and every night I'm going to, watch TV all night, or I'm just going to sit on the couch, or I'm going to just choose what feels good, we might just stay in that wheel of karma that keeps us just, feeding our desires, feeding our wants, but not necessarily growing into what it is that we actually need. Okay. So it's that point of, that outcome and recognizing that maybe there's a different desire or a different need that needs to come into play in order to choose that next action that is a little bit growth worthy, let's say. Okay. So what I really want to bring your attention to here is I'm certainly not saying don't follow your wants. We want to bring wants into our lives because our wants are going to kind of lead us into, well, what is it that brings me joy? What is it that brings me pleasure? But we want to be really mindful to notice, well, if I'm following these wants and I'm taking action on them, what is the outcome and how is the outcome serving me? Okay, that's really the big question here. How does the outcome serve me? All right. So I was listening to something by Gary Zukov recently where he was talking about the temptation. And he was talking about the temptation being a gift. It's really a gift of choosing, am I going to stay in my comfort zone, and does that comfort zone serve me? Does it feel good? Or if that comfort zone doesn't serve me anymore and it doesn't feel good, how do I use that temptation to actually choose something else that's better for me? Okay. So it can be a bit of a gift. All right. And this is how we can expand ourselves off that karmic wheel into the need that we might need to serve. Okay. So really, it comes down to tuning into, are my actions feeling helpful in, let's say, not just this moment, but in the long term? Okay. And when they're not, we might need to shift our actions. And that's not always easy, right? Sometimes we have to really look at ourselves and ask, why am I resistant to changing this? What scares me about taking a different action, about choosing differently, about getting uncomfortable, about stepping out of that zone. Okay. At the same time, I want you to remember that, we don't need to, be rigid in this and say like, oh, well, I can never do anything that creates ease in my life. Like, it's not that we can't follow those wants, but I want to just invite you into looking at, well, what is it that you need and how could you perhaps serve yourself a little bit differently? So one of the ways that I like to, maybe look at this is, in my choices, or ask yourself, in your choices, are you feeding your wants 100%? Are you feeding your wants 80% of the time, maybe getting what you need 20% of the time? Are you feeding your wants like half of the time and then getting what you need half of the time? Where are you at on that spectrum? Or maybe, are you choosing what you want 20% of the time and getting what you need 80% of the time? So just kind of, gauging yourself on that spectrum. And you might even look at different areas of your life to look at that spectrum. Like maybe, when it comes to, doing things socially, you're leaning towards your wants more, or maybe you are really focused on your health and you're like, okay, no, I'm like choosing what I need 80% of the time. So it's really just an opportunity to get a little introspective with yourself and looking at, when I reflect on the choices that I'm making right now, how am I feeling after that? So looking at that motivation, the action, the outcome, how do I feel at the outcome level? Okay. And that really is the key point to look at, to recognize, is there something that I need to shift in my actions? Maybe I need to look at that desire, recognize, is there a need here that needs to be filled so that the outcomes feel even better. And like I say, that action might move you through challenge in order to get to that new place, right? Like, instead of staying up till midnight watching TV, you actually go to bed at 10 and then you have a better night's sleep. But, turning off the TV or just, stopping that series, after an episode or two is enough. Like how do you find that discipline to actually choose what is in your highest good? Okay. And that's where I think Gary Zukav was talking about that temptation is, are you always feeding the temptation, or how do you become disciplined within yourself to feed the temptation maybe 20% of the time, but actually choose what you need 80% of the time? And that's kind of the ratio I like to look at personally, is 20% what I want, 80% of what I need. And if I'm following, 80% of what I want, then I'm probably leaning myself towards outcomes that I'm not feeling good about at the end of the day. So ask yourself that, check in, notice, how are your actions feeling? Is there something that could be tweaked? Maybe you could put your focus a little bit more on what you need and less on what you want. And like I say, not, pushing the wants away, not judging yourself about those wants, but recognizing, what is it that would serve me the most, and how much do I want to, follow that? How much am I ready to follow that right now? And recognizing that, life is a journey. Don't expect that you're just going to all of a sudden change. You might, but sometimes we have to, kind of push those comfort zones and walk that wheel of karma a few times before we can get it into the place that we really want, and perhaps let go of the old patterns and step into a new way of being and a new way of living. So I hope this serves you well today. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please drop me a note, comment below, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have a beautiful day.